Alright, so I'm sitting down to start narrating this video, and I just want to say at the beginning here, I did record myself doodling all these like little sketches, but for whatever reason, every time I put it on my editing program, the quality is just absolute shit, so I've decided to use a still image, and you're just gonna have to deal with that. But welcome to my video tutorial / process thing about how I go about designing characters. This character I'm designing right here is for a client who commissioned me, and they wanted a character inspired by like mimes and clowns sort of things. I've got like typed out the things they wanted in the design, but other than that I had complete control over it. And yeah, so basically how I start designing a character is I just doodle out a bunch of little concept things to get what's in my head down in a canvas, because once you start like doodling things, you are able to get a better idea of what you actually want to do, and you can see that throughout the like 3 doodles, and there are more that I deleted, I ended up getting a more and more concrete idea of what I wanted to do. For instance, I ended up deciding I didn't want the beret there, and I ended up deciding like, I don't think I actually want suspenders. I tried out more things with the hair, and like doodling a bunch of things, even if they're not what you end up going with, is just very helpful, I think. And then once I ended up finally doodling something that I liked, I took it, and along with the color palette that I had sort of drawn out earlier, and I started to block in colors into my doodles for like a color scheme, just because I don't think it's a good idea to like sketch your full thing and then line that and then start messing with colors. It's a lot easier to like just put colors under a sketch on a multiply layer and fuck around with that. Like you can see there, I just messed with the hue because I ended up not being completely happy with it. And I just think it's easier to go through and fuck with colors in a tiny little sketch instead of like after you've done all your line art and your whole big sketch. And eventually I did get something I was really happy with. I loved the colors on this. I think they really pop. Then, you know, you just start sketching the character. When I do my like concept doodles, they are very simplistic and not detailed at all. They are like just shapes and messy lines and not necessarily proportionally accurate. And so once I had my doodle and color scheme I was happy with, I just went in and I started drawing the character in a more detailed way. And I fucked up a few times in the beginning because I didn't warm up that much, but eventually I got it down. And yeah, I'll just let you watch the speed drawing of that for a bit and then come in with narration every now and then to talk about what I was doing. So here you can see I was just having like a lot of fucking difficulty with the legs, because like stylizing legs is something I've been having a lot of trouble with lately as my style's been changing a bit. And I can draw like realistic legs in life drawing, But lately I've been wanting to do more than just like straight lines, rubber hosey type legs, and I'm still not sure how I want to go about doing that. So I had a lot of difficulty doodling those, well, not doodling, sketching. And, you know, I mean, that's fine. Sometimes things are just harder to do, and when your style's changing, you gotta, like, go through the pain of not knowing what the hell you're doing in order to know what to do. Which is why I've just spent a shit ton of time on, like, sketching the legs here, and I spend even longer when I do the liner, and, yeah, that's fine, I think. I know this video isn't much of, like, a good tutorial, because I don't know how to explain what I do, but good things to keep in mind when like doing line art and sketching out the character in more detail is like shape language, because if you do some reading up on that, there are certain like shapes that your brain has different like connotations with. So like squares are kind of boring but safe, points are energetic or dangerous, circles are very friendly and welcoming, and I wanted this character to seem like sort of safe and friendly, but like, ooh, she's a little zany, the fuck is she gonna do? Which is why, like, a lot of her hair comes to points and so do her eyelashes, but, you know, even though the character is, like, zany and, you know, energetic, she's still shaped like a friend very much, you know, she's not gonna intentionally hurt you, which is why her shirt is very boxy, because boxes and squares are safe, and she's got circles still, and her face is round, because she's still nice, she doesn't have bad intentions ever. And another thing you want to keep in mind with your characters is colors. Now, I'm no expert on the topic. I've done like no reading up on it, and I have no formal training. I've been told that I have a good grip on color theory and just knowing which colors to use, but I don't know that out of any learning. I just kind of throw shit on the canvas and it looks decent. What I will say when making a color scheme is there are no concrete rules or anything. Like, I'm not going to say don't use all neon or don't use all one color, because you can do that, it can look good, but do keep in mind, like, make sure what you're doing is on purpose. For instance, when you have all neons, it can take away from the other neons and make them pop less, which can be a cool thing you do intentionally, but you don't want to do it unintentionally. You don't want to, like, have a color palette where the colors contradict and, like, look bad, but not on purpose, because you can have bad color palettes on purpose, and that can be cool, but having a sort of quote-unquote bad-looking color palette unintentionally can make your piece look messy and amateur. I recommend watching videos on the topic or reading an article or something. Just one or two until you have like a vague idea of what you might do, and then practice what you've learned by drawing more often and coming out of your color scheme with colors. Sorry, I've got a stutter all the time, especially when I'm recording, but like, yeah. You read a few things, watch a few videos, and even if you don't fully understand it, try applying what you learn, and the more you like use different colors and shit, the more you'll get a grasp on what you want to do and what you enjoy doing. So like, don't be afraid if your color palettes look like shit. Sometimes they have to look like shit to look good. And, you know, at the same time, it's art, it's not that serious. It's not that serious if you're just doing it for fun. This was serious because it was for a client who was paying me. But like, you know, if you're not doing stuff for a client, who gives a shit? It's for you. Just like whatever you do, do it intentionally, and the same rule goes for like clothes and everything. With the character design, you want things to be intentional. You don't want things to like be there and then people who look at it would ask, well, why is that there? You know? I know that I personally get really annoyed when I see character designs, especially professional ones from cartoons, that just don't make any fucking sense to me and feel like things weren't done like intentionally or in a way that makes sense. Like, why is a character who lives in a cold climate not wearing a coat? Why does this character have cat ears and a cat tail, like, when it doesn't make any sense? And, you know, there's no harm in doing things that just because they look cool, but I think it's a good idea to do things that look cool and have a purpose, like, apply to the character, you know? If that makes any sense, I don't really know. Like, do what you want with your character designs, but I feel like they will look just critically better if everything's intentional. And that's not to say that, oh, you can't have cat boys and cat girls, or you can't do things I find cringy in your character design, but if you're gonna do it like, on purpose in a way that makes sense. Like, yeah, fuck yeah, make your, like, cringy character, quote-unquote cringy character with things people don't like, but, like, explain them, have them make sense, you know, if your character's from like an ice princess, please put your ice princess in a coat. I don't want her to freeze to death. Or if she's an ice princess from the like a blizzardy place but she doesn't wear a coat, well, why? Explain that with your character information. Like, your design should reflect the character and anything you want to communicate about the character. So, like, a nice character doesn't have to look like they're nice, they can look mean as shit, but do that on purpose. Have everything match up with what you want, have it be intentional, and have it make sense on some level. Like, I have characters who look very, very mean, like, you know, they look, well, quote-unquote mean. They look like what you think of as mean, you know, their eyebrows are always furrowed, and they wear dark colors, and they have, like, eye bags, and they look like they'd beat the shit out of you, but they're actually very nice, and it's the contradiction of having a mean-looking character end up being really nice was done on purpose. But if you have, like, if it's not on purpose, then it's just confusing. And generally speaking, you don't want people to be confused when they look at your characters or your art, because when people are confused, they don't process anything else that's happening. Like, if you just look at a character in a cartoon and you're constantly thinking, well, why the hell do they look like that? Then you're not going to focus on anything else in the cartoon because you're too busy being confused. And you can confuse people on purpose. I guess that if there's anything to take away from this video, it's that you can do literally anything on purpose with art, but when it's unintentional, then it's just sloppy and kind of annoying. And while, you know, not everything needs to be perfect, I think things should at least be purposeful. But I'm not a preacher, I'm not the end-all be-all of what you can and cannot do with characters, so take this with a grain of salt, especially because I don't have any formal training. This is just me on my soapbox explaining what I think and what I do, so yeah. Sorry if that doesn't make any sense. I know I've apologized a few times, and like, I don't really care that much if it makes no sense, but people have asked for me to explain things, so I feel like I owe you something that makes sense, but I'm an incoherent person and I don't know how to speak, ever. Here I ended up adding bat wings for pretty much no reason other than that I thought they'd look good. And I hadn't sketched out bat wings in any of my little concept doodles, but when I had the idea I was like, I think that'd look cute. Which is just to say that sometimes you don't need to stick to your sketch and you don't need to stick to your original concept, because ideas you have later when you're drawing can end up looking good, and it's okay to deviate from your original plans. Sometimes people are stubborn and they don't like going against what their first thing was, their first idea, but I feel like that's very stunting in the creative process. Like, part of making things is making changes. And I know that sounds like awful pretentious for someone who added bat wings onto a shitty cartoon, but like, you know, you change things up, add things when you feel like there should be added. Nothing's concrete. Even if you have a character for like years, if you suddenly want to give them a new thing, do it. It's not that deep, just do things that you like. And yeah. Here's what she ended up looking like. I'm very happy with the final design. The client was happy too, so that's good. I think she ended up looking very childish and energetic and fun, which is what I was going for. If you want to commission a character design for me, feel free to contact me via email or any of my social media. My commissions are open right now. And if you somehow like this mess of a video, then like leave a like, comment, etc., you know, subscribe, notification bell, the YouTube things or whatever. And again, I know I've apologized a few times throughout this, but I am sorry this is like such a mess. The mic quality is inconsistent because I kept moving rooms, and like same thing with the volume, and I I stutter and trip over my words, and I know I'm apologizing a lot for really minuscule things, but those things annoy me, so if they annoyed you, I hope that doesn't take away from the whole video. Hope anything I said was helpful. I'm not sure what else to add other than that. Like, this is my first time making a sort of tutorial video, and I don't know if I'll make another one in the future, but if I do, hopefully I can articulate myself a little better and explain what I mean more than just going, well, that's what I think. But, yeah. And there goes my AC. That means it's my time to stop talking, because that gets in the way of audio. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.